This video is not intended to encourage or glorify any kind of drug use. The sole purpose of these videos is to educate you on the dangers of what these substances can do to you. Please do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video. I repeat, do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video.
If you ever wanted to know exactly what Jimson weed could do to you, pay very close attention to what you're about to see. It's a tape Chula Vista police made of James and his friend under the influence of Jimson weed. The two are so impaired they can't even speak. Again, what you're about to see is no act. James is the one on the right.
Have you taken some drugs today?
James and his friend are truly in a world known only to them. Here you see them pass a cigarette to each other, only there is no cigarette. James' friend later smokes it and actually flicks the ashes. Again, there is nothing in his hand. James styles his hair with an imaginary comb. He beckons to friends in the room that only he can see. There is fear in the eyes of both boys and major anxiety. Motor coordination skills are almost completely gone.
Please sit down. Please sit down. You okay?
I have read many Datura reports on my channel, and many of those stories involve the user experiencing smoking phantom cigarettes. This means that they smoke cigarettes that aren't actually there. There isn't full knowledge on why this happens, but it could be related to the fact that deliriants, not just Datura, show activity on cholinergic receptors that can be temporarily blocked by nicotine. Now, no one knows for sure why this happens, and what I just said may be bullshit, but it still is super interesting. This Redditor said, "I've had phantom cigarettes that were so realistic I could feel and taste the smoke. I even dropped one time and the cherry shattered and sparked like the real deal. I looked forever trying to find that damn thing. The only reason I knew it wasn't real afterwards was that I didn't even have a pack of cigarettes." I'm going to read a story that was submitted to my Reddit community that specifically focuses on the phantom cigarette phenomenon. Let's get right into it. It seemed like a bold idea at the time. Pack a bowl of Datura seeds, torch a fat dab, and see what happens. What followed was 5 relentless days of confusion, paranoia, and absurdity that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Day 1, the vanishing cigarettes begin. It all started calmly enough. The effects came on slowly, blending with the euphoria from the dabs. My room started to feel crowded. Shadows moved in the corners, and familiar faces began popping up on the couch and around the room. The first visitor struck up a casual conversation like they had always been there. I passed a cigarette their way and cracked. "Don't forget to leave me one this time." They laughed, took the cig, and vanished. I blinked, looked around, and muttered, "Well, that's new," but it didn't stop. Every time I lit a cigarette and passed it, the person and the cig disappeared like smoke in the wind. My initial amusement turned to frustration. How hard is it to stay put and finish a smoke? I yelled to no one. Day 2, dabs and debates. By the second day, my sense of time was completely warped. The hallucinations intensified, and every hit of the dab rig seemed to push me deeper into chaos. The conversations with these hallucinated people became absurd. One started lecturing me about my messy room. I shot back, "You don't even exist and you're worried about my laundry?" They scoffed and disappeared. Another insisted I owed them money, so I grabbed my wallet, only to find it full of empty cigarette boxes. I kept lighting cigarettes, but they never stayed lit. They either vanished, melted, or floated away. It was maddening. I torched another dab, muttering, "If I'm stuck here, at least I'm staying baked." Day 3. Loops and Shadows. Day 3 was a fever dream of endless loops. I'd light a cigarette, lose it, and spend what felt like hours searching. I'd open a door only to find myself back in the same room. Hallucinated people would appear, but now they weren't talking, they were just watching. The watchers stood in the corners, motionless and faceless. They didn't interact with me, but their presence was suffocating. I tried to ignore them, focusing on the dab rig. Every time I hit it though, it seemed to melt or transform into something else, a snake, a hand, or a puddle of wax. I remember pacing, shouting at the watchers, "If you're here to judge, at least say something." They didn't. I lit another cigarette, but it immediately dissolved in my hand. "Of course," I muttered, laughing hysterically. Day 4. The breaking point. By the 4th day, I was convinced I'd never escape. The hallucinations had taken over completely. My room no longer looked familiar. The walls stretched endlessly, and strange whispers filled the air. I tried to distract myself with the dab rig, but even that felt pointless. Every hit brought a fresh wave of paranoia. I thought I saw figures moving outside the window, but when I looked closer, the glass was gone. I tried opening a door to leave, but it led straight back into the same distorted room. I started questioning everything. Was I dead? Was this some kind of purgatory? I yelled at the shadows, "If this is a joke, it's not funny anymore." The whispers only grew louder, mocking me. Day 5. Crawling back to reality. By the 5th day, the hallucinations began to fade, but I still didn't trust what I was seeing. The watchers were gone, but the air felt heavy with their absence. My room looked normal again, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it was all a trick. I finally managed to drink some water and eat a granola bar, but even that felt surreal, like I had forgotten how to eat. My body was weak, my throat raw from the cigarettes, real or imagined, and my mind felt like it had been run through a blender. When I checked my phone, only 2 real days had passed, but it felt like 5 years. I saw texts asking where I'd been, but I didn't even know how to respond. Final thoughts. Datura isn't just a drug, it's a merciless interrogation of your sanity. Combined with dabs, it created a trip so disorienting and unsettling that I still don't fully trust reality. The vividness of the hallucinations, the relentless confusion, and the paranoia made this experience feel more like a punishment than a high. If you're even considering trying Datura, don't. It's not worth the risk, the fear, or the 5 days of arguing with people who aren't there. Trust me.